Today, we're going to have a very interesting conversation on housing. To my far right, I have Kola. To my immediate right, Obina. And then to my left, I have Ep2.
Guys, take the RSA thing, the retirement savings account. It's a big impact. It's a huge impact on the industry. Even though people see it as a way of just taking their money out of their something, but think about it. How much is in PFA? 1 trillion, 2 trillion? What's the balance of pension fund accounts? Let's say 1 trillion, and they're saying
in Nigeria,
it's
20.
20 trillion.
It's 20 trillion.
Oh my God. Okay,
it's 10 million RSAs, about 20 trillion.
There you go. So each person can take 25% of that into real estate. That's a huge amount of money.
How many PFAs have a real estate desk properly manned?
No. Is it when how many PFAs want to release the money?
Why do they want? What's the incentive to put money in real estate?
He just said it now. People are beginning to look and say, you know what? This thing you're
guys.
Not going to be sustainable.
So
when I retire, I want to.
No, guys. Let me look at it. You mentioned property prices,
Yes.
right? How much is in average? I've done these numbers before years ago. What's the average pension fund balance for each person? It's not up to 10 million naira.
Yeah.
Right? So 20% of that, 2 million naira,
Yeah.
is contributing towards my equity of a 20 million naira property. That's the biggest problem that we have. So I can't really find a property to buy. They now tell me that I must get a mortgage.
Yes.
Right? So the PFAs don't need a desk because they're mandated to work with a mortgage company.
Right.
You must get a mortgage to access that capital.
Yes.
Now, what property am I going to buy at 30% interest rate? And, so that policy is like, we've done this. Yeah, it's really not working. So I'm hoping they'll continue to tweak it. So, and again, it goes back to, do I need to own it? Do you understand?
But then that might even be the solution, like you said. I have 10 million naira with a PFA. 2 million I can put to whatever.
Housing.
That PFA, which is why I said they should have a desk. Look at the mortgage guy, do your homework. Okay, you know what? How many people do I have in a pool that have 20 million? How many of them need houses? Where are they located? The majority of them are in Ogun State, no problem. This is the catchment. Create a product, say, guys, I'm going to deliver a house to you. You're going to have a piece of grass, or you don't want a piece of grass, stay in the block, and this is the price. And it's going to be tied to what you have with me in such a manner that this is going to be your disbursement when you retire. Work it out. Once you link it to what they have already, all they have to do is sign up. You get the developer that will build it, right? They are still paying their monthlies that are still coming in. You solve the problem. Because the cost of you have the data of the people that have the 10 million. You have the data of their monthly contributions. You have the data of how old they are. You know for how long those contributions will keep coming on board. That cash flow, what you want to do with that cash flow is regenerate it into a venture that you control, such a manner that it yields additional cash flows for you. You can work it out. So if you have, that's why I say you have to have a desk that's thinking outside the box. Because the mortgage guys, they don't have that. And you don't even need their money.
Think about it. As a PFA, what do I want to do? I want to grow my assets under management. I want to preserve my asset. I don't want to necessarily give you money.
Yeah.
So my incentive, I'm not aligned with that thing that you're talking about, right? Because the more I create a mortgage desk, a real estate desk, the more people are going to take money out.
No, hang on. You know why you should align? You should come to that. How you should align is this. If you don't do that and somebody else does, those guys move their accounts from that person to you, from you to that person. You want to create an incentive because now that they've opened the window, people can report. You want to create an incentive for that guy to keep staying with you. You have to show him that you're not just his PFA provider, you're also a solutions provider. And you come up with a home solution that meets his needs. You just have to come to the economic reality that he cannot use 20 million naira to buy a mansion in Ikoyi. But he can use 20 million naira to get a house in Ebe. And he still solves his problem.
His housing problem.
Right.
Yeah.
If you get to that point and he signs a commitment and he's staying with you, you're sure that for the next 10 years that cash flow is there. You're also getting him to make additional contribution. Because aside from the 7.15 that is contributing, you're also going to get to sign that from that pay that they pay on a monthly basis, you bring another 7.10% towards your stuff to net off
You
some
see,
of it.
here's the problem though. Look, cost has gone up so much. I still don't have the income. My PFA balance is not enough. If I was in the States, I can take out of my 401k
Yeah.
and I can borrow against it, right? That's why is it 25% or 20%? I guess maybe they're getting used to
The
it.
reason why you can't do that is that what the PFAs are bringing to the table is economies of scale. For you to deliver a house at 20 million naira, it has to be built at a massive scale.
Correct.
Once you're at a massive scale, you have to
There's
almost.
no massive scale. You can't do. There's nothing you
No,
can
it's simple
do.
now. You can buy a plot of land and you can try to build 4-bedroom apartments on it on 3-4 floors. And it's nice and decent. It is that struggle that I want a piece of grass in my own house that keeps the price going up.
Yeah, I disagree.
It's possible.
I know I disagree. You know why I disagree? People
But
have come to accept that
they want
there's-
that grass.
they don't want grass anymore. No. People have accepted that. Look,
Yeah.
people are before plots was 650 square meters.
Yeah.
Now 300 square
300
meters,
square meters,
350
they're
square
fine with
meters.
that.
So people have accepted. The problem I have is that Ep2, I still work in Victoria Island. For me to be able to afford that 20 million naira, I'm working in Victoria Island, most likely, right? How long is it going to take me?
Let's even assume.
Wait. How long is it going to take me to get to the office?
1 hour at least.
No.
From where?
2.5.
This guy lives in Banana.
I said at least.
Minimum. So you see, the problem is, so people now say that, look,
That's another opportunity.
no, but we say opportunity, but here's the thing. I will now say that, how am I going to live in this Ep2? Right? I might own it, someone will rent it, I'll leave the house there. But give me one cubicle
In Yaba.
Yaba, so I can get to my own. Do you understand? Give me something close by,
Yeah.
because that's the reality of that policy. It's not creating any kind of, yes. When you look at all the numbers together,
Makes sense.
20% of 20 trillion. Wow, that's what's going to come into real estate. But per
Yeah.
person, what am I going to? Can I get it? By the time you
Yeah.
even look at that 10 million naira, I want to buy a house of 20 million naira. I go to the mortgage bank. They
Yeah.
tell me that I have to register, I have to perfect, I have to do this. The fees. Oh boy, leave my money there, I beg.
Exactly. So, you know what? I agree with your notion. And I agree with what Kola is saying as well. But this is why, for me, it still comes back to what is a separate factor being interest rates in our. Interest rates is cost of funds. And cost of funds is the biggest issue in buying a home or constructing a home.
Yeah.
So to meet this housing demand and so on, the PFAs, even if they were incentivized to do the real estate subscriptions, Kola is right. They're not going to get enough upfront capital to be able to finance those developments, even if they were meeting a pricing point of 20 million.
Most of the PFAs are owned by who?
Banks.
Commercial banks.
Who are
Private
the,
bank.
who are the people that sit in the bankers committee?
The bankers.
Who are the people that MPC, part of people MC consider when they're making a decision?
It's bankers.
So the money is on two sides of the same
That's
because
why-
the reason why interests are going up now is because we are fighting
Inflation.
inflation,
So they say.
which has to be done.
You don't agree?
I believe. See, I agree that it's the
So it's temporary.
tool. No, it's a blunt. It's a blunt tool. You can increase interest rates all you want. If there's fiscal irresponsibility on the other side, you will not arrest inflation. The sources of our inflation are not actually a high financialization of money. We aren't like necessarily overwash with money and interest. Inflation starts going up on the back. There are supply chain issues, and there are waste issues on the part of the government, and we can go into how much money. It doesn't matter what you do, government or private, you waste part of your money, the rest is going to cost you more to spend on things that will produce. So inflation, before inflation spiked this year, last year it was what? I think we were around 18%, let's go with that. Interest rate was what? 24? Well, what happened? Did inflation trend downwards? Did we see any reduction in prices? No, it spiked again because all the other factors, the driving factors of inflation, especially the past 2 years, have actually also been other global factors, supply chain, of course, oil
Ukraine.
and wars and major supply chain issues there. Even all the oil, Russian and gas that fed the entire industrial Europe, right, had to double in price because they started selling to India and China before it came back to Europe at double the price. Energy inflation. And once you have energy inflation, you have transportation inflation. Transportation inflation, it's food inflation.
You have an angle there, right? If you look at where CBN moved from 450 to 750 and co, and look at the state of our economy 18 months ago and after and now, nothing fundamentally has changed. The security issues are still there. The crude oil prices are still there. Not there. What has changed is the perception of people on policy. Once people are hyperventilating on policy, they get scared. Once they get scared, there's flights, they demand for dollars, all those other things. So it's more of a policy problem. Now, policy, obviously, the argument can be yes, the fiscal side, how to spend money and all that stuff. But once you bring out a policy and you're clear on that policy, on its implementation and the objectives and co, people will fall in line. My argument is that the policies that have been churned out by the states and at various levels, right? There has not been any significant effort to make it clear, to make it specificity in terms of we know this, you guys are going to do this thing, to get people to get confident.
Yeah.
It's gonna be done.
No, because
Because
of what I'm saying,
that confidence.
policy is all well and good. We've
And
had certain
all
policies.
came out at the same time.
We've had certain policies. You mentioned the banking community. Let me start my fight with banks. So we had a banking policy way back in the early 2000s, about 10%. At that time, it was about 10% of their loan book to go to SMEs and all these things. I think 6, 7, 8, 9 years into that policy, they were finding how many banks were not complying, they couldn't reach, and banks will tell you, oh, we couldn't find the SMEs to give money at this rate. My opinion is that the real hard truth is that the market situation hasn't changed. If we still have financial products at this level of interest, they will pick it all the time. All the time. You can go as a real estate guy, as we all do, trying to raise money to finance what are real assets with real tangible values and so on, and real demand. But you can't beat what they will tell you they will get in treasury bills or in any other commercial paper, and as safe as it is for them. So again, our economy needs to target this interest rate thing. If we do not, it will not give any incentive for finance to flow and or the PFA administrators to start to say, okay, this is now more attractive, or at least not as unattractive compared to the other assets that are there. And we do need to get to
Well,
that.
look, so that's just one. Look, this solution to these issues is not just one.
No, it's not just
one.
No,
It's
not.
look, yes, you drop the cost of capital, the cost of borrowing, but the cost of construction is still super high, right?
Agreed.
Now, and that it goes back. We want to increase capital, want to increase economic activities in the country. We've chosen housing. That's, based on what we looked at, housing has a stronger potential to increase capital and everything. Policies, what policies are we doing as a government to encourage development? We want to see, and it's very simple. Very, very simple. It's not complicated. Oh, developer, you want to go 4 floors? Okay, I'll give you approval to go 6 floors. Do you want that? Oh, I'm going 50% higher, more units. Okay, but you must do this, this, and this. Right? You must do this, whereby, for example, you must provide X number of units for affordable people.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Or you must, there are different ways to just introduce
Yes.
policies that would encourage developers, that would encourage people to build. If we all collectively agree that if we sort out housing will be the stepping stone, it will grow the capital base of the country and everything else comes in. So what are those policies? Let's just throw them out. What would you like? What policy would you like from Lagos State government, for example?
Streamlining approvals and costs.
Exactly.
Doing approval fees and costs. Streamline that, reduce the cost, make it easy for people that, not just developers.
Transparent.
They argue about people in Lagos, for example, 80% have not
Yeah.
done approval. They know why.
So those are policies. So I think those kind of policies will solve a lot of issues. You know.
Yeah. So if you get getting the policy right will incentivize capital to go in the direction where it ought to go. Now, once you do that, the challenge is how do we also make sure that that policy is consistent?
Proof.
But that's also a problem. If you look at the growth of Lagos and other states, you see that a policy comes in by one administration, they run it. The next administration comes in, they may have a rethink of that policy, and everybody pans out, which is why you find that most people plan for 4 years.
That's a big problem.
And that's part of the reason why once there was a change in government, people had to wait and see what the new government is going to do. And they are taking the time to, a lot of problem places together, and that wait and see, and you want to cause part of the perception issue. But by and large, there has to be a proper handshake between two regimes. At the local government level, at the state level, at the federal government level.
About the MDAs, all those MDAs, all those institutions too.
At the MDA level,
yeah.
at the ministry level, at the civil servant level. I mean, look at the US. They had a very interesting period when Donald Trump was in charge. Community Center was alive. But the civil servants kept the country together. They kept the country working. So that even if you push them, hang on, the president, we can't push this because
this and this. Yeah, this is the policy that
they have an independent office that monitors budgets and implementation. So at the civil civil service level here, we have to strengthen those institutions.
Agreed.
Those civil servants need to understand that they are the custodians of policy.
Yes.
They are the executors of policy.
That is honestly, I think that's the biggest, one of the big, civil servants. I think, look, that's one of the biggest issues we have in this country. To that point, how do you get civil servants to be able to stand up to their new bosses or to the new appointees that this is the policy that we were doing before? I don't know how. I always wonder about the UK. The way these guys change prime ministers every time. How does this country still?
They have the same problem. I mean, I watched that show, Yes Minister.
Yeah.
Really? If
Really?
you want to learn about government, you will learn it from that show. They have the same problem. A new minister comes in, the permanent secretary welcomes the new minister, and the new minister tells him his policy. And then in the show in particular, their running gag is the permanent secretary is always telling him why his policies can't be implemented. Oh, we've already done that survey. It turns out we need more. So those challenges have occurred, and I think it's really about a strong government. In our case, we don't have necessarily the kind of leadership that comes with a clear vision, but that leadership, as the whole point is, we don't, even if we had it, how will we translate it to the next administration? But it's people, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway,
I wanted to ask a question, and I'm loving the conversation. However, the two things on my mind is number one, urban regeneration. Urban regeneration, because to touch on what a caller said, of which I think is very realistic, is that, okay, if I live in Ekpe, how do I work in the central business district of Lagos Island and Victoria Island? And these problems, as we know, are unique to Lagos. However, if I'm in Abuja now, for instance, of where that's probably planned. So if I work in Maitama or Asokoro or Wuse, all those satellite towns are very much opened up, accessibility is opened up, and the trains are working now, so that works. I think that's one solution. However, another solution I'm looking at is on the supply side, because we spent a lot of time on the construction side. We spent a lot of time like speaking on the cost of financing interest, but I'm thinking aren't there any innovative construction ways that are low cost? using technology that we can explore to give affordable housing, whatever affordable housing means to us in Nigeria?
Okay. No, look.
Or maybe a container housing or some of those things,
Look, for
or
me,
mud housing.
Fortunately for us, a lot of us grew up with that wolf story that said, which
Off
house
and above.
off above. So me, I want a brick house. I don't want. I want. So, but you see, the reality is, look, we all just need to cut our coat to ourselves. Look, cost is the cost. There's no. We can improve on the processes. Absolutely. There are wastages in construction. I always ask them, why 250 slab? What are we carrying? Oh, if you ask them why they're doing that, we know that guy, when he's mixing it, he's not going to do the right mixture. So we're building into so that, so when you really look at the reasons why our costs are high, it's a lot of inefficiencies.
Okay.
Right? So we can adjust that. But the costs are still the cost. Cement bag. So now what I realized is that with all these things, cement bag, maybe instead of me using 10, I'll use 8. But the cost of that cement bag is still 7,006. It's still too high. So what do? I need to reduce. Why do I need 100 square meter apartment? A 2-bedroom. Why do I need a BQ? That's always you're telling me you can't afford, but you want a BQ and you want this and you want that. Why? You and I, when we go to other places, other countries, myself and my family will stay in funny thing, bad habit, anywhere I go, I measure the apartment. Bad habit.
No, that's good.
So myself,
Occupational hazard.
2 kids, wife, 2 kids, we went to Ghana. We stayed in a 2-bedroom apartment. I measured it, 75 square meters. We're okay. But, that's considering, we don't have the help or anything, but we're okay. So I was like, so this works.
But look, that's your reality. Look at the reality.
Of-
You're a correct guy. You're packaging a structured family. That was micronuclear. Hey, madam, 2 kids.
Yeah.
Aside from what he mentioned, a lot of over redundancies, right? There's also a lot of waste, and which we're not exploring sustainability and recycling. I mean, our company won an award yesterday, Edge, for what we're doing at Lekki for sustainability.
That edge is not easy to get to.
So when you look at people building houses, they use bamboo for support. When they finish, you just dump it there.
Yes.
The next compound who is building his own, you go and buy a fresh set of bamboo.
Yes.
You won't
That
go and
is
ask
so
the neighbor,
true.
guy,
Yeah.
can I?
That is so true.
Same thing applies to scaffold. Same thing applies. There are lots of equipment that goes to real estate that can be shared.
Yes.
So what I think is that from a construction point of view, one way we can cut costs is to adopt a shared services approach, where we're able to say, okay, what's the life cycle of some of these things we use, struts, whatever. How many times can you use it before you have to discard it? And once you use it, can I rent out mine to another
Can I rent
person?
it out? Do I have to
Rent
buy
it
it?
because someone will say he has finished, he has containers on his site. Where are you going to put those containers, depending when he gets another job?
Yeah.
You should be able to put it somewhere and say, guys, this is available.
I think that's the solution.
A web platform where people can dump this thing and people can take it and do like an Airbnb on it. Who will finish using, they've done it. So there are 4 men that know jobs. They just, once they finish with these guys, they rotate them to another. So they've achieved some level of, efficiency there.
Yeah.
But they are not the ones that will get the materials and all the support. So you find a way to rotate those things.
I agree. But what I'm asking is,
Imported technologies, maybe not imported.
something like, because I've seen a lot of again, you guys work in development, so you know better. I've seen a lot of homes made out of containers. So is this something
Is this
that
scalable?
is viable? Is this scalable? That was my thought.
Is it scalable?
Container prices have skyrocketed as well for multiple reasons. So if you wanted to build a typical 20-foot container unit now, fit it out with basic lighting, electrics, plumbing, you'll still spend what would be on average 20 million in my immediate estimate. So it is a potential necessarily
Exactly.
to
So
be able to, especially when you want to stack, But it's in use. It's
See,
not that it's
the
not a
solution
potential.
is not the containers. Look, if I'm scaling and I have efficient processes, I have efficient designs,
Yes.
I'll drop that cost down. My carpenters get to the site 9, 10 o'clock. By 4 o'clock, Oga, where we're going is far. So how many hours have they really worked? Same Chinese contractors here. The same carpenter goes to that Chinese site. 7 o'clock is there. 6 o'clock he's still working. Because what? That Chinese contractor has provided housing for him. So he has taken that issue of transport and housing away from that guy. This guy is working more efficiently.
Yeah.
So if I'm able to get good skill, good processes, efficient designs, a lot of those wastages will save them. Look, anything, and we've done the numbers, anything that involves things that are not made or sourced locally is never going to be efficient. So whether it's a container, you're still dependent on what's going on with the containers outside. So if I want to build 5,000 houses, where am I going to get 5,000 containers from? Where am I going to transport them from? How am I going to move them on these our roads? Logistics. But however, if I am building 5,000 houses with concrete and I get good, efficient processes, designs, how many windows am I putting in each square meter of wall? So I think it boils down to our design and things like edge, to be fair. In as much as people think that this is also, I used to think that too, that it's just an expensive thing, it does help reduce the cost of living.
Yes.
It helps reduce the cost of living. It helps reduce cost of construction indirectly. So those are the kind of things that I think would help. But there's a new technology now. You can do concrete without cement. Have you guys heard?
Oh, really?
Concrete without cement.
Really?
As a
I've seen that one that you pour that there's a translucent chemical that you can use to mix for hard road.
yeah, I saw that here too, and they struggled because they're bringing it from outside Nigeria.
Yes.
The chemical is not readily available.
Yes.
Technology makes sense, but it's not.
The hydrocarbon company of Nigeria, I'm trying to think of. Again, don't quote me, but I heard at one point they had such a chemical that was supposed to be, they were supposed to be developing. Again, those are the kind of things we need to be doing.
It has to be local.
So that's what I'm asking for innovative solutions using the technology.
I have one more policy that's not. There are a lot of old properties Lagos State have and have seized or whatever.
The government, not just Lagos State.
Yes, the government in general, that need to be repurposed.
As in, like, as the dead assets.
The dead assets.
Right.
You go to one Dejo Street, see one that's old. Is it Icon Tower?
Have you seen the defense house in Lagos Island? Sitting now empty.
No, but what about the federal secretariat,
Oh
like
my
next
God,
to
they will go
Dolphin?
there. Yes. Right.
Has basically 100 apartments like waiting to happen. So I think was it PwC who issued a statement and said that I think Nigeria has maybe $100 billion in dead assets in Nigeria. So a lot of all those dead assets, colonial assets, those things.
Well,
dead.
all focusing on Lagos. There's Anambra, there's Imo, there's Bayelsa. These are all real estate opportunities.
Correct.
So I think the question is, how do we get those guys to up their game? Right?
Yeah.
And incentivize people. And one thing I find that will work is if they were to adopt the ages thing that we earlier discussed.
Yeah.
And transparency. I should be able to, from Lagos, buy land in Sokoto.
Yeah.
See the
And see the owner.
See the owner.
This
buy,
is the history.
This is my history. So no stories. You can redirect capital to other states.
Yes.
And you can kickstart. I mean, Dubai was, when we used to go to Dubai those days, was the old houses there. They've been almost every 3 years. You go there. And it's policy on how you redirect them.
I think it goes back to the Land Use Act.
Interesting.
The governors being the custodian of land. That's the problem.
But that's
You see, and then think about it, to your point, what you said every 4 years, something, there's no continuity. So this governor might say, I want to be transparent on land in my state. Next governor comes, I'm not interested. Why is it the governor?
Well then, that problem also can be used as a catalyst. Let me explain why. If the governor has that right to do what without, that means he has the right to do things faster. Yes. If the governor is in charge of the land and see over everything, he also has the capacity to do things within 3 months if he wants to. This digitization of things is not a big deal. The making land titles and thing issuance is not a big deal. If you do it, you can within the life of your own administration get so many benefits that it becomes institutionalized that the next guy will not want to take it out. You will even create more opportunities for your political benefactors to even benefit from transactions going on around opening the thing up. Because there's so much land in the north.
Can I
Then
can
the
I can I
governors have
make
to
a
regulate
controversial statement? Can I give you a
Yeah.
controversial solution?
Oh, please, that's why we're recording.
Privatize the government.
Yeah,
Think
yeah,
about
yes,
it,
yes.
guys. We go through Maurice Mohammed International Airport, run by the government. What's the experience? Okay, we go through MM2, run by the private sector. It's like you ask, is this the international airport of this country?
And they have been fighting about that thing since
Do you
that thing was
understand? But let's be
commissioned.
realistic. The government, we all agree that it's the government that is creating a lot of these issues, the government policies. Privatize system.
Yeah, so I think it's about holding people accountable for their responsibilities. I mean, if the Minister of Aviation made a statement saying certain people that work in his ministry own mansions in Abuja, and he's wondering how they're able to do it, clearly he himself is saying that there's a challenge he needs to deal with. We have ministries, NDAs, that are in charge of anything. We have a Ministry of Tourism. How much tourism are we getting? So people should do their jobs because if you do it well, there's enough value for you to even make great value for yourself outside what you think you are getting now.
Yeah.
Because it's so much. We have a lot of ministries we've set up because we've come up with a policy statement and said, this social needs this ministry, I set it up. Well, many of them. The Russell report says we should even consolidate some of them.
Yeah.
After the consolidation, the ones that are there should
Well,
Ombudsman
guys,
service.
practically in our lifetime, do you see that happen?
No.
Is it going to happen?
We can make it.
With this our political system,
We can make it.
And
happen.
everybody right now is already thinking about 2027.
And that brings us to the end of this. So, in summary of our conversation, so one, we, except for me, the rest of you do not believe the Lagos properties are overvalued.
Overpriced.
Overvalued. So I strongly believe that they're overvalued and overpriced. I believe they're overpriced.
They're not overpriced.
If I was going to spend $1 million on property, would I spend that in Nigeria? On one property in Nigeria? Would I?
every single person.
If that was your only money, no. If that was
Obviously, if I'm spending it, is affordable. I can have other things. But
then you
would I?
Yes, you
I don't think I would
The,
actually.
the fact of the matter is that in the whole of this continent called Africa, the best place where you get the best returns, even risk adjusted, is Nigeria.
Yeah.
Let me help you ask you a question. So Davido, with all the dollars that he's making, and Burna Boy, where do they still come back to?
He's here now.
He's here. Where do they still buy house?
Where did he do his wedding?
Jonathan, where did they? I was surprised. That
I
these
think
guys,
it's
they're
an
still living in
emotional
estates.
whatever.
No, it's because this is where they
Yeah,
know. This is our country. At the end of the day.
Exactly.
This is where they know, but it doesn't mean they don't have properties outside.
Which they
But
do.
they still invest that millions of dollars here.
Yeah.
Why? The question is why.
I liked a solution to the housing problem. I did not expect the thing of pensions. And I really, really like that. And I hope the PFAs are listening. I don't think they are. I don't think they get that much. But I hope that they are listening, that we need to get, because I do agree that, I mean, you have a pool of capital of 20 trillion. What are you doing with the money? You can't keep only investing the money in risk-free, treasury, blah, blah, blah. I can't keep doing that. So I think we need to have those conversations. I also think people need to start thinking innovatively in terms of development, or how to make cheaper developments that you can scale around the country. And I also appreciated the point of policy, because I think we need those policies for real estate, particularly on urban rural regeneration. Because I was telling a client at one time that I see the future in cities of Lagos in places of Ekpe, Ikorodu, Badagry, or what about Agege, Oshodi, Alimosho, Ojodu, Ogba? How can we redevelop those places and re-expand those places and push out? Because the challenge I have is that there is a lot of pressure on Ikoyi, no, sorry, on Lagos Island and VI, because those places are the central business districts. So how can we expand the central business district? Put one in Ekpe, put one in Ikorodu, Badagry, open up those areas, particularly Ekpe and Badagry, so that people don't have to keep journeying into the center. Also, again, it also has to do with also transportation. That's another valid thing of housing. So I think I applaud the Lagos State government, yes, I do, for the blue line and the red line. I think the game changer would actually be the red line, because the red line runs from Agbado to, I think, Ebute Metta. I think that would be the game changer for now. Because I remember a story, I'm meant to be ending. I remember a story that I was going to Benin by road, unfortunately. And I was like, okay, so where's Mowe? Because I know Shagamu, and then I know we go to Benin. But I remember I worked in a company, sorry, I knew like someone that worked in a company that lived in Mowe and would come to work. I was okay, so where's Mowe? After I found Shagamu, kept going. Where is Mowe? Redeem Camp, where is Mowe? So this guy was coming from all that way here. So assuming there was a working train to bring him high speed 20 minutes to work, it does. These guys don't have to think about coming. So basically, because you're opening up all those other areas with transportation, it then encourages housing developments in those areas, and they don't have to move to the center. With that, we end episode 2 of this podcast. Thank you so much, Kola, Obina, Ep2, and my wonderful crew. All right, then.